Alright, so for this week's video, a few months ago, CHANNELLOCK sent us this promotional pack with some pliers in it. So I had some time to test this stuff, and I wanted to give you my honest opinion about it. So let's turn the camera on here and we'll go through this, and then I'll show you what my thoughts are on it. So it's got everything on the lid that's in this pack. So let's get and show these off here. Came with a bunch of stickers. It's in foam. Let's bring it in here. So we have the CHANNELLOCK 422s, which are basically the same as 420s. The jaws are slightly different. They're more like a V groove jaw than like the flat ones. And then this is the CHANNELLOCK. It's the adjustable wrench. It's the 808PW. We'll come back to that here in a second. And then this is the 458 or the E458 pliers, which this is actually kind of interesting. I was looking at these and they actually cut off center. Like they don't cut right in the center, which is supposed to help maximize cutting force. They sent these out to test here, so let's put this stuff in the truck. Let's see how it works, and we'll come back in a little bit. All right, just to be honest here, I did not have a chance to use these 422s. They were in the truck, but I just didn't have an instance where I was going to use these, or I could have used these. But I have a bunch of the 420 pairs, and I love them. They're amazing. The jaws are just different on these, so I'm sure that these will be really handy whenever I do have a chance. So these will live in the truck just whenever I have a chance to use these. But these, the E458s, I'm actually really surprised at how much I like these. As I mentioned before, they cut, if it'll focus there, hopefully it'll focus. They actually cut off center. So there's a little promotional piece here that hopefully will help with this. But you can see how they actually cut. They don't cut right on the tips. They cut a little bit off center. These can cut quite a lot, not being super long and not having, not needing to be super high leverage. But it's really actually pretty easy to cut with this. So I had a couple little rod pieces here that was in the promotional pack. And this have become my go-to pliers. Like I reach for these now anytime I need wire cutters, just because I like the way they work. They're cutting aircraft cable, which, is like that braided, sometimes it's stainless, sometimes it's aluminum, but the cable. So I was using that. I was cutting a bunch of aircraft cable and I grabbed these, and these definitely have become my go-tos. I've been grabbing these. But hopefully you can see, if it'll focus there, exactly how it cuts. I'm trying to not cut all the way through it. But see, hopefully it cuts it off center. There's a cut here, and then there's a cut a little bit further off. So that actually makes it really handy, instead of it just being like a guillotine that just they meet in the middle. And it kind of helps keep them from getting dull and, not seeing like chips. So you can, hopefully you can see that. But there's not a lot of nick chips and stuff because I think the off center. So these things are super awesome. I really do enjoy these. And then this thing was becoming my favorite little wrench. I use this a whole bunch of stuff. I was doing 4 hoses on a John Deere 350 rotary manifold, and they're pretty big O-ring face fittings. So obviously, it being a short 8-inch wrench, it's not going to break those fittings loose. But once they're broke loose, like it's kind of hard to unscrew them. But this thing opens up wide enough, and then it's short enough that you can just spin them off. And then one thing that I did find, I kind of was wondering how this flipping the jaw over would work. But I had a bolt, or actually it was a nut, but it was a coupler. It was a coupler bolt where the nut was all rounded off. So I was able to flip this over, and I was able to hold the nut while I impacted off the bolt. This extra little serrated jaw really, really made it handy to get on the bolt that was a little bit rounded off. So this stuff is living in the truck. I've been using it a whole bunch. Just want to say thanks to CHANNELLOCK. They sent this stuff out. You can buy CHANNELLOCK pretty much anywhere that sells tools, but I would check it out. It's American-made stuff, and they're a really great company, so I would definitely check out CHANNELLOCK if you have a chance. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. All these YouTube algorithm stuff would be much appreciated.